Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Freeman Files here on the J Free 906 podcast channel. Tom and Seth here again. We're going to be talking Oak Island some more tonight. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Plus 10 degrees here today. All's right with the world.
Yes, it is. All's right with the world. Thank you, folks, for being here with us tonight. We are going to be talking about The Curse of Oak Island, Season 12, Episode number 16. If you can imagine, we're already 16 episodes into this. Called Open Sesame. So we're going to have that. And I was wondering why they called it that. And then right toward the end of the show, you hear Marty say it when he was on the camera. Open Sesame, when they were talking about Aladdin's cave. And so, that's where they grabbed it from. So that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. We're also going to have a giveaway we're going to do in a little bit. Let's see. I had that picture up, and then I took it down for some reason. So we got a couple things. We got a book here. We're going to be doing a book from Doug Simmons. And some little coasters and a magnet we're going to be giving away. We'll talk about that later on as we get rolling through here. So if you haven't already, we always ask if you would subscribe to the channel and click on that notification bell so that you know right away when we have new content coming out. We've been putting out some little short clips and stuff that we've done when we've had some of the guys from the island on the show. Terry Matheson and Steve Guptill and Laird Niven and all them. And we've got somebody special tonight that we want to have on here in just a couple of minutes. This is a person who we come to love so much back in season 8. He's not on Oak Island. We wish he was still on Oak Island, but he's a busy man these days. Let me just show this quick picture of this gentleman right here. See if you recognize this man right here, because he has some very interesting stuff to tell us about here tonight. So let's do that now. Let's please welcome Dr. Aaron Taylor. How you doing?
Hi, Jeff and team. Thanks for having me back.
I tell you what, you have been, like I said, we miss you on the show, but we know that you are so busy. You've got so much going on. Not only do you do, and you can touch on this a little bit if you want to tonight, but we know that you also go over and you do recoveries of downed servicemen lost in, battles in the past overseas. I guess you got some of that coming up here real soon, right?
Yes, actually on Monday I'll be heading to the Philippines with the helping out the University of Chicago, Illinois on a recovery mission.
That's awesome.
And then when I get back home for a couple of weeks, and then I'm off to Austria for another recovery mission.
Wow.
With Acadia University and a field school, and it's a real passion of mine. And
it's noble work. It truly is. I mean, I'm so glad you're doing that. It really is. Finding those, down planes and all the servicemen that are lost, missing in actions. That's so awesome. It really is. We did a podcast about that, and we have that. People can go back and watch that, and we encourage that you do. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and bringing some closure to the families, who've been waiting now 80 some years, and just it's still important to people. So I'm honored that I'm able to do it. So
yeah. Well, so glad you are. That is a great and noble thing that you do. And you also, do you still take the team down to Cuba and do some archaeology down there?
We do. Yeah. I last year took a couple big Oak Island fans down, and we just had an amazing time. Just a wonderful time.
Yeah. People can sign up for that too, right?
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be doing another one next year. Once things stabilize a little bit, but and if you're interested, reach out.
Okay.
And, it was a really good time.
Yeah. That's really fun. That's where you met Miriam too, right? Is through that, and then she ended up on Oak Island as well.
Yeah.
Well, you have a new venture going on now, and I'm going to put this little picture up here real quick. A new show on the History Channel. It's going to be starting on April 1st. It's called The Death Coast.
Yes.
It's a treasure hunting show, right? So
yeah.
What is this all about? Tell us about the Death Coast.
Yeah, so the Death Coast, it comes by its name, honestly. We're looking at the Cape Breton coast, so northern Nova Scotia, and there's just hundreds and hundreds of ships that have wrecked on the coast. And a lot of people have perished. A lot of these ships carrying, a lot of treasure. the thing that so how I got involved, like I'm a terrestrial archaeologist, but we're working with the Nova Scotia province, with the government, and everything that's found goes back to the province for museums and educational purposes. So no one's getting rich off of this project, but it's about telling the history of Nova Scotia and Atlantic Canada, Atlantic North America, through the recovery of these artifacts that have wrecked off the coast. And the crew is, I think your fans are going to love Captain Jeff McKinnon. He is, larger than life character, and he's the
Is that him? That's him right there, isn't it?
That's him. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a big, gruff guy, and in a lot of ways, he reminds me of Rick Lagina.
Oh,
Just
really?
a charismatic person. He's gruff, direct when he needs to be, but underneath, just one of the nicest human beings you're ever going to meet. And people are just drawn to him. And so he was leading us on these missions and on these recoveries or dives, looking for these artifacts. And because we've partnered with the province, they needed an archaeologist on board. So to make sure that the artifacts are properly cared for and cataloged and taken care of, and so they'll go back to the province when at the end of the season we do that. But you don't have to spend long up there to understand why there are so many shipwrecks. I remember several times being out on the water, and you listen to the fishermen and people like Jeff McGinnis, because they read the water like I read a book. I just remember it was a beautiful, sunny, clear day, and Jeff goes, "We need the divers up now." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "The fog's rolling in," and I was like, "What are you? I don't see any fog." He's like, abort dive, bring the divers up." And within 15 minutes, we were blocked in with fog so thick you couldn't see the front of your hand.
Wow.
Like, it was unbelievable.
Wow.
And so you can see why there's so many shipwrecks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Things like that change right away. So I guess there's going to be, I think this first season's going to have about 8 episodes, something like that?
Yeah, 8 episodes. I think we're piggybacking on the Curse of Oak Island, but if people are interested in history, which I know your fans, Curse of Oak Island fans are.
Yes, we are.
And just lively characters like the divers. There's a retired FBI agent, a retired New Jersey cop, a retired Marine sniper. Real characters. And I got to spend the whole summer with them, and just great group of people. And just, we're out there on the Atlantic, and it gets wavy. There's sharks. There's you name it, it's got it. And I had a lot of fun doing it, and I really think your audience is going to enjoy learning about the stories about this period of time.
Great. Oh, it sounds great. Yeah, I'm gonna check out. We'll check out the first episode. This might be, and I see that Linda put out the question to the chat asking if this is something maybe we should do a podcast on. So
yes,
yeah,
yes, already.
Yep. I'm sitting right here in the Maritimes, and I vote for it.
Yeah, this sounds cool. I'm
in. Death Coast. So we may have to have you back on, Dr. Taylor, and tell us more as it folds. I know that. There's so many questions I'd love to ask you right now, but we can't, because I know that, you have to keep things under a lid for now until the show gets out and the airs, all that. We're very familiar with NDAs and how all that stuff works. But so sounds like one we're going to have to talk about, and sounds like one we're going to have you back on to talk about.
I would love to. Yeah, you can. I'll come on your show whenever you ask, Jeff.
Perfect. Oh, that's awesome.
Always a pleasure.
I appreciate that very much. All right. Death Coast, folks, starting on April 1st at 10 o'clock. It's going to be right after the Curse of Oak Island. And I guess it's going to be replacing that show that's on there right now for us in the States anyway. I'm not sure. Canada.
I'll check the listings here in Canada.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Tom.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Wow. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Taylor. I appreciate it. And we will we'll jump on that when it's and I can't wait to watch it, and then we'll be in touch.
Great. Sounds great. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Aaron.
All
Great
right.
to see you.
Enjoy
Thank
the
you.
Philippines.
Bye.
See you later. Wow. Fantastic stuff. Is
Wow.
that not?
Whoa.
Oh, man. A new
I'm
show.
not
today.
missing that. I'm not missing that. I can tell you.
Well,
But,
yeah, I feel like a dummy now because I watched the preview last night during one of the commercial breaks, and I didn't catch Dr. Taylor on there. But I did think, oh, well, that looks like an interesting show. I need to learn more about it. And lo and behold, here we are with the man telling us
Yeah.
about it. So,
Well, Linda
how
told
exciting.
me.
And
Go
what he
ahead,
says
Tom.
about that, what he says about that water out there is
Mhm.
bang on. I've been out there with fishermen before, and beautiful, sunny, calm, dead calm day, and they'd say, "Okay, pull your lines. We got to go."
Wow.
Well, why? Well, by the time we get back to shore, the waves are
Don't know.
we're going to be breaking over the bow.
Oof.
And you'd look at them and go like, well, "You're crazy." And by the time you get back to shore, sure enough, those guys know what they're doing. Like they
Yeah.
just they've been out there so long, right? The wind changes, the tide changes, and boom.
I
I
can't imagine diving in those conditions, much less
No.
being on a
Appreciate
boat,
it very much.
Visibility would be terrible.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah,
can
and those
imagine.
currents, no thank you.
Up around, so they're going up around Cape Breton, which is like major rocks and currents.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yep.
Nickma, you might not like me in a little bit. You might want to withdraw that because of what your statement was there about the nail. But anyway, we're going to be talking about that nail here coming up. Colette,
Controversy.
thank you very much, Colette. I appreciate that. They're very kind to you. All of you, I really do appreciate it. As you know, as I've said before, this doing this podcast does cost money, unfortunately, but and I appreciate all the donations. I really, really do. And I got picked up a new person on Patreon, and Kay Franks. Thank you, Kay, very much. I really do appreciate it. It, like I said, every little bit helps to keep this show going, and it's one of those things, and I do appreciate it very much. All right, let's dive into it. The Curse of Oak Island, and we are again season 12, episode 16, Open Sesame, and we're gonna jump right into it here. Right off the bat, when the show started last night, they were taking a look at the works going on from last week. It was kind of a little bit of a leftover coming into this week's show from last week. This shot right here is of that caisson that they were. This is the Tom Burns one caisson TB1 that they had all of the issues with the cave-ins.
I think they should change the name of that to something else now.
TB1's not riding very well anymore.
Not settling well here.
Good. I like
I see.
He's here all week, folks. Yeah. Tip your waitress. So they jump right into the war room after this, and they get all the team together, including Vanessa and the team from oh gosh, I forgot the name of their SB Canada. SB Canada.
That's
There you go.
SB.
I can't pronounce the French word, and I don't want to offend people by trying.
Yeah, I know, right? Now, something about this TB1 though, folks, and I'm gonna say this again. I know I've talked about it a little bit as we've gone along here, but TB1, even though they've had the issue with the collapse and everything else, I still believe that this is a very, very important spot. I'll say that they put that caisson down. This area because of what they have hit down there. Something very. Where did all that stuff go? Where did all that material go? They found these pieces down there. We haven't gotten the date on these pieces of wood yet, but they had these pieces here that had what seems to be some type of marking on them. We're saying Roman numerals, but they're just markings of probably assembly instructions, IKEA assembly instructions when they get down in the ground where to put these pieces together, 3 with a 3 and all that sort of thing. And they found that bits of concrete, what seems like some sort of a concrete type material that they brought up through the spoils and they found in the wash plant. So it's an interesting caisson that they put down. Now, one thing that they were talking about in this, they very visited the area with the lonely caisson that was left in place. Coach, you and I think alike. They kind of speculated about the fact that they may have actually found the chapel vault and I don't know that it would have fit inside of a 7-foot caisson as they show here in this picture.
No, I
But
don't think it would.
yeah, I don't think so either. But in the end, what happened? You heard Vanessa talk about how the plug fell out. Now, if the plug fell out of the caisson, that means that it had to fall out into something that was not holding dirt under, inside of it anymore. In other words, like this picture shows, into a cavity of some sort. The plug fell out into that cavity, along with maybe anything that might have been in that vault. If the vault got pushed down into it as well.
Or whatever was beneath the plug get pushed down by the plug and it's gone too.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this spot is still very important, and it was one of those like total bummer. Dave said for sure, and I think so as well. Is the chapel vault only 6 feet long or wide? No, I don't think so. I think it's bigger than that, but who knows? Really, my understanding was less than 7. Linda says, okay, 7 feet.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So they'd have to get it just right to get it inside the
It
caisson.
should be a tight fit.
I wish they could use
that caisson at its widest point, and it's a circle, is 7 feet.
Right, at its widest.
So you're going to be chopping off corners. Yep.
Yeah, they'd have to be exact right on it to be able to scoop it up. Yeah, and even then, it was not going to. A square 7x7 is not going to fit inside of a 7-foot circle, like Tom just said. So, yeah, we need 100-foot caissons. That'd be great. Somebody just said that in the chat. Wouldn't that be nice, Tim?
Yeah.
But again, I go back to that whole thing saying that this was a very important spot that they put this down into. And did the vault show up on the Muon readings? We can go back and go over that again, but I think that it did. I think not the vault, but I think the cavity where they think it was in did show up. There was several blobs. I did a short video on that too, and that was about a year ago. I had, or maybe not quite a year ago, that I had put that together, looking at the Muon technology and overlaying it onto the a shot like this right here of the money pit area, kind of showing where things were. And I thought I hit that pretty well, thanks to Zane and some of the work that he did for us as well. So, but here we are. So they had to move on to a new caisson, and I wanted to just mark down too what Marty had said. When he was talking in the war room about this particular TB1, going back to TB1 just for a second, he said, we have a renewed determination to get down into that solution cavity.
Yeah, and I think this TB1 convinced him that it even existed, right? Like in the way that it does, because I think he was talking about how, like, where did all that material go? Now I know for sure there's something capable of taking that amount of debris. So there's a lot they learned, and I think you just see where everybody else was looking, and unfortunately, the fact that they are on top of the target is, everyone else was too. So, they can't avoid. And then you add that solution channel on top of that, and it's just, you're doomed no matter how you try and go at it from here.
Right.
I think so. I'm hoping, we find another way in to that cavern, maybe through the Aladdin's cave.
Maybe through Aladdin's cave, yeah, because it's all about the same depth and everything. Because I think the chapel vault, wasn't that down where they thinking that cavity at least was down about 150, I think, initially. Now it's
there's so many tunnels crisscrossing. I mean, I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there's a lot of tunnels, and they can't all be just to get to one deposit.
And it's not a very big space all this stuff is in either. Physically, as far as location wise,
right? Yeah. So now, and this is where I put the little marker there where TB1 was put in right here, right on this spot right here. And now they're looking at Aladdin's cave, which I have been waiting for a long, long time, 2 seasons now, to see them get into Aladdin's cave once again. And see what's down there. So to me, this is pretty exciting. I'm pretty glad and happy that that they're down here, and now they're going to take a look at this. But again, like he said, it's important that they go back down there in that solution channel and take another look there. So they said when they started the show and they were in the talking in the war room, they said something about 3 weeks ago when they first started talking about this in the war room. They said 3 weeks ago. Now, sometimes we know that the stuff that Robert Clotworthy gets to narrate may not be, exactly to par with what's happening on the show, but they said 3 weeks ago. Banking some
the
cash.
first night, the first night that they actually showed TB1 the Caisson, they said, they broke ground a week ago on TB1. There's a week there plus this, so yeah, they're easily 3 weeks in.
Wow. And so that's a long time to be messing with one Caisson when they have a plan for 4 or 5. That's an eternity almost.
It is. Yep.
Let's see. The vault and 100. Oh, they said the vault and 100 cubic yards of backfill, soil, whatever backfill into the solution channel. Some 200 plus feet underground.
Yep.
So they're thinking that this all washed down into that backfill, or the backfill and everything washed down into a solution channel down some 200 feet. Now, I'm gonna tell you all, if you haven't watched the video that we did with Terry and Steve and Laird Niven, you need to watch it. There's a clip that we made, or I put together from that episode, talking about the solution channel. You need to at least watch that. And the reason I say that is because if you listen closely, and I know that somebody I spoke to in Discord last night who watched it did not catch this, but you need to listen closely, because our man right here, Seth Bridges, asked a question. Yes, you asked a question of Terry and the team that Terry started to talk about, and then Steve said, "Be careful there, Terry, be careful." And you might get a little tidbit of info. I'm not going to give it away here because I want you to go watch it, but seriously.
Yeah, and it was a genuine just curiosity sparking moment, because they had not touched on this yet in the show. And
right.
And the only thing that I had was Jeremy Church, his work in mind when I asked that question you're talking about. So yeah, I just, kind of
it's funny
luckily stumbled into that.
It's funny how you said it too, Seth. You said, well, this may seem like a dumb question, and it was not. And it was like, as soon as you asked it, you look at Laird's face, and Laird's going, oh. And Steve's over there, because they knew that this was hinging on or touching on some stuff that they could not yet talk about. So check that out. That's a little 5-minute clip that talks about what is the solution channel. So go check that out. You may get a little clue as to what's coming up.
I think they should rename it and call it the question channel. We've got no solution so far.
Oh, that's so
you're
true,
on fire tonight.
1,000 cubic yards of fill material would cover 1,350 square feet into an area of approximately 20 feet. That's a big hole.
Do you guys think that there's a way that
it's 100 cubic yards, by the way, not 1,000? Did I say 1,000? I'm sorry if I said 1,000. It's 100.
Oh no, it's 100. Okay. Yeah, I thought you said 100, but anyway.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, yeah, it's 100 cubic yards.
Because we know they dumped 48 yards down just to try and stabilize the pad for openers. Right, that when the pad started getting a little wonky there. Yeah.
It took all that water too, right? Like they didn't pump it back out.
Tons of water went down there.
Yep.
Lots of water
for sure.
Yeah, 3 truckloads of water, 20,000 gallons.
15,000 gallons it would take to fill that to the level that they said. So that would be 3 of Billy's water trucks.
Wow.
Yeah. So good
big
stuff.
hole.
It is. And so, you go watch that. I see Tim said he watched it and it was a very good question. It was a great question.
Oh, well, thank you, Tim.
Yeah, it was. It really was a great question because it put them on something that maybe come yet to see on the show on the Curse of Oak Island. So check that out. All right. So let's continue on. So Aladdin's Cave, here you see it on the grid, so to speak. where they got it laid out, and they talked about it being a 20 by 20 cavity down there. And when they were talking about where they're going to put the Caisson, the oscillator and all the crane and everything equipment, she had mentioned that they don't want to put it over top of the TB1 area because they would have simply scooted that way to get into Aladdin's cave, but they didn't want to do that because of the fact that that ground may settle some still.
Yeah, it's not stable. Yeah.
No, I can't imagine the entirety of the money pit flat being stable, to be honest with you.
No.
I'd be scared of the whole thing.
But it was interesting to hear what Marty said, though, when they're talking about moving the crane. That's kind of in the war room section, but he says he wants it to stable because he wants to get back there close again. So he's not done there.
That.
Yeah, he's not done there.
He's not done there. And that, yeah, we may yet see evidence of him going back there. So they had to firm up this entire area of where TB1 is. You see it here on the map, so they could put the crane in and get it all set up. Because when that platform, the platform that the crane is sitting on, plus the area of around the oscillator, I mean, you're talking probably 50 feet of platform right there, lengthwise. You think?
I would say,
yeah, something like that, probably. So that goes back quite a ways. Simon, did they say early in the season they have Caisson liners? Yes, they did. If so, would they put one down in the collapsed hole so they could put a camera down there? Also, why did they stop digging with the grab? Yes, they did talk about Caisson liners. I don't think they put one down in there. I don't think they did, but I don't know. We don't know for a fact in TB1.
Yeah, I don't think they did, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, just don't have that information whether or not they left the liner in.
Well, when you think about it, I'm going to go out on the limb and say no, because they filled it full of 100 yards full of gravel and they want it to settle and stabilize.
Exactly. Yeah,
so
I'm
going to guess and say no. I'm going to go out on the limb and say no.
Yep, I agree with that. I don't think so.
And Marty stating that he wants to make the ground more stable and we can come back close. And I want to come back close.
Yeah.
So he wants to get back in right next door to TB1.
Right. Yeah, they stopped the hammer grab and everything because of the fact that they had to pull the Caisson because everything was collapsing. They couldn't go any deeper, and it was because of safety concerns that they had to do that. So that's what Rick said, and Marty agreed, and they pulled the Caisson and moved on over to Aladdin.
Caisson was actually shifting; it was back underneath the crane tower.
Yes, yeah, it was.
It was actually walking just like a drill.
Yep. Yes, C1 is where they found the shiny gold, Navy dogs. Yep, it is. That's where they saw that shiny gold piece in the wall when they put down the 6-inch borehole back. This was going back in like what, season 3, maybe? I don't know. It was a long time ago. They hadn't even flattened the whole money pit area. It was still grass around there. And they brought in it wasn't Choice Drilling. It was somebody else came in there, and they actually did that borehole, put a sleeve in it, PVC sleeve, and then put a camera down in that hole. And that's where they saw the shiny gold thing in the wall. Then later, that same spot became a Caisson C1, but that was actually Charles Barkhouse's. That was where he wanted to put a borehole down, and that turned out to be the shiny gold thing. And they did the Caisson later on in that spot. All right, so this was a hole. I'm going to remember, take you back in time like they do on the show a little bit. This was a hole. They put the cameras down. We saw the open cavity down there. We saw the stones that looked like they've been chipped away to cut them. It looks like man activity down there. We can't verify that. There was also wood organics found in the water samples, as well as some precious metals were found in there in the water samples. And it also, they put the sonar down there, and that was, I think, a better look than even with the camera. So the sonar showed a cavity down there. It also shows what looks like a tunnel leading into it or out of it on one end anyway. And that's what they're kind of showing here with that sonar. And then also, if you remember, this right here, I believe, is what we were saying was, this is from Panther Geoscience, Jeremy Church and Burton Cosgrove, when they did their survey with the seismic survey in the Money Pit area, all the way down towards Smith's Cove and that. But they found this right here, I believe, was where Aladdin's Cave, roughly where Aladdin, you can see where C1 was, and it's off to that south east of C1. So I
It
believe
looks
that
like
was
a square room with 3 doors and tunnels.
a tunnel leading out of it, just like on that other picture. Look at that, huh?
That's
How
so
is
cool.
that? Whoop, look right there, right? So
The data is so cool because when we were watching just the image and we thought, does that look like a doorway? It could be, but here we have actual proof that there is, but what seems to be what you would call a door and a tunnel in and out of that cave.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it goes anywhere.
We don't know. Yeah, we simply don't know yet. All right. Thanks, Warren, for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. He's from Australia. He's got to go. So I appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out with us, Warren. We appreciate it. So remember that. Then there's that seismic survey information. And this is where this is where Vanessa was pointing to the map and talking about where they need to set up. Actually, they end up setting up over here to the side a little bit. Right instead of over here where she wanted to go. But still, they had to get off that TB1 area so that ground could settle somewhat. And here you see where they've set up. That's what I was saying. They didn't flip it around the other way. They just kind of moved everything over and to the south a little bit to get out of that area. So that's where they're set up there, doing the Aladdin's Cave. And there's another shot of it right there. And here I grabbed this picture on this one because it shows that the can at 123 feet at the top of the can is 123 feet 11 inches. Down at the bottom where they're digging right now was about 96-ish, about 96 feet.
Yep, 96 feet. Yep.
And lo and behold, they're pulling out wood. Now, I got pretty excited about this when I first saw these. The last week's episode, when we were looking at next time on the Curse of Oak Island preview, we saw the wood coming out, and I didn't know exactly where that wood was coming from, and I got pretty excited, saying, "Oh my gosh, it's coming out of Aladdin's Cave!" Is it at 96 feet?
A tunnel above Aladdin's Cave?
That would definitely probably be above Aladdin's Cave, I think.
Oh yeah,
some sizable chunks. Sizable,
big chunks of wood came out of that hole last night.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this one here, this one that Tom captured, it kind of does. I mean, that does kind of look like a dowel pin. I think it's not steel because it could be a branch, like you and I talked about how branches sometimes, are.
If you look at that wood when he flips it sideways, like I have broken apart wood and you see the extension of a branch or whatever in there. But when he flips that wood sideways, lays on its side, there's no spot there for, a branch to appear.
Right.
So that's what made me think it's some kind of a wooden dowel, but they never mention it.
Yeah. These are definitely hand hewn.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly. You can see this by looking at it on the side of it. It's not cut with a saw, a pit saw, or any other kind of saw that I can think of, but it looks hand hewn. And also, Gary had said there was no metal fastener. No metal was found in any of this stuff coming up, and in the spoils that he was checking.
Look at that piece of wood. The right hand side is clearly saw cut. It's nice, smooth, even. The other end, where his right hand is, I think what they're doing is they're going down through the side wall of a tunnel, and that caisson is chewing off those pieces.
Yeah, I agree.
They're not right on it; they're going down the side of it.
Yeah. So if the tunnel's like so, they're coming right down the side of it,
okay.
maybe half of it in it, and then right down the sidewall.
Yeah,
that's what it seems like. That's from the wood they're getting, and Tom's very correct. As you'll see,
the pieces that they pull out, they all seem to be cut on one end, but they're all chewed up on the other end.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. You can see the cut end right here. You can also see those little ledges that they put. This would be, it could be a bottom board or top board, plank
support for a crossbeam,
or support for a crossbeam could be. But again, hand hewn. And here's another one, has a nice little ledge on it and that cut area on one side. I don't know that I've got too many good pictures. Here it is right here.
Yeah,
So
the
here's
bottom
one right here. Cut on this side.
Mhm.
Look at this side, all chewed up.
Yep.
Massive.
Cut up.
But that's huge lumber. Like
Huge lumber.
he's in
What did
pretty
they
good
say?
shape. He's in pretty good shape to pick that up by himself.
Terry's
yeah.
like, let me help you with that. He's like, I got it. I'm too excited.
Yeah.
That's sitting down the bottom of that hole. It's waterlogged because because when they bring the hammer grab up, it's bringing water with it. So it's sitting down there. It's waterlogged. That's heavy,
That is extremely heavy.
especially if it's hardwood.
Yeah. Yeah. They've definitely hit something. Now, like I said, this was at 96 feet. They begin to bring up wood and timbers. Unexpected to find because the cave is about 145. However, this is one of those times where here I wanted to show this. This is that cut and not cut. There it is right there that Tom was just talking about. Very clearly, you can see on here cut edges on these other boards, but then not cut where it's ripped up by the caisson going down. So very good point to bring up. The thing that here we go with that difference between what's in production and what Robert Clotworthy is given to read and what's happening on the island with the guys and the team. Not always are they exactly the same narrative, unfortunately. So you have to go into this knowing that it's not always going to be crystal clear. And the reason I say all that is because they had said on the show an unexpected tunnel. I don't think this was an unexpected tunnel.
No.
If you go back a couple of years when they were first finding Aladdin's cave in the first place, they talked about this tunnel right here that was kind of heading towards the garden shaft. I got some more pictures I'm going to show you.
The garden shaft went down 95 feet, right? And they were trying to get into a tunnel.
Yeah, exactly.
But to me, the crazy part is that anybody was down 9 and 10 stories underground.
Still, that blows me away. When you think of it in stories, it's incredible.
Yeah, about 10 feet a story, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy people.
And they're 60 feet or 6 stories below sea level.
Yeah.
No wonder there's water.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing I wanted to point out. This one right here. M16.25. Remember that number. Okay. So that is a caisson, or that is a borehole that they had put in some time ago, and they hit a cavity. And it's also the borehole that they put the sonar down into, and they saw this M16.25. But then they came up with this right here and said, "Oh, look, they kind of thought that it was heading towards the garden shaft." And so they drew this. This was on the show, and they drew this little line right there, based upon what they thought they were seeing. This right here at M16.25 was right about 100 foot, and the cavity was like about 7 feet. No, I'm sorry, about 5 foot deep. Somewhere around there, 103 to 107, somewhere right around in that range. Okay. So right about 100 foot, they found this tunnel, and it went right over top of Aladdin's cave. So the narrative saying that this is they didn't expect an unexpected tunnel, I don't think is correct. Now, anybody on the show that happens to be watching or watches later, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not always correct, but I went back. I'm like, wait a minute, there has to be. Now, what is this? Go ahead.
Let's put it this way. Was anybody else surprised to find a tunnel there? I wasn't.
Were you, Seth? Were you surprised?
No, not at all.
Anybody in the chat, were you surprised that there was a tunnel down there?
Maybe they forgot. Yeah, I know. I didn't have the this excellent recollection like you did, Jeff, to be like, no, here it is. But I mean, it just that first image you showed where you see the their drill program, that line where you're like, oh yeah, they were chasing a tunnel. And then this image too, I remember thinking it was cool that they could see the curve in the tunnel.
Yeah. Why was it curved? Why wouldn't it be straight? I don't know. And then let's say realized that they found that it was they weren't going in the right direction or something. They had to modify it a little bit. Or here we see this green area.
Mm-hmm.
That's the solution channel, the suspected solution channel.
Oh, they had to get out of it.
Yeah, and look what's right over here where they drilled and they put that case on TB1 right there. Yeah, right about there. So that's another little tidbit of information from the screenshot here. So yeah, so there was a tunnel above it at about 100 feet, which would have been about 50 feet, 45 feet above the Aladdin's cave.
Yeah.
Here's another shot that they were talking about the same thing. So yeah, here it is again. Here's another one looking at it. Okay, I had a lot of examples, right? So it was kind of neat that they had some of the other stuff on this one as well, but yeah, group has a lot of collected. Yes, and all you, and that's why I'm loving the fact that you guys are all here with us too, because is that the Paul Troutman Tunnel? Somebody was listening. The Paul Troutman Tunnel. Yeah, that was could be. Could be. We scare them. Yeah, I don't know, Kat. Maybe we do. Oh, I know we're always looking for stuff in the background, aren't we? So, all right. So that kind of wraps up the whole money pit area there. They hit that tunnel, the wood there in that tunnel, right about 95 to 100 feet, right in that area. And I think that's a tunnel that was running above Aladdin's cave. So it made me a little bit sad. I was all elated because I thought, oh my gosh, they found wood down in Aladdin's cave. That means there was people down there. That means it's part of this whole thing. Maybe not. We don't know yet. So they haven't gotten down there into it. Well, right at the end of the episode, they break on through to the other side. So we don't know yet. I'm still holding out hope that there's man-made something down there they can find that shows that it was definitely man-made. So
that
Nick,
one thing,
right,
that one thing.
Again, I'm sorry. The one thing.
That one thing that Rick wants to see that proves who was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm excited. Rick was talking about the flocculent too, so we'll get to hopefully see down into the cave.
Yeah.
Which I hadn't heard. That's a word I hadn't heard in quite some time on Oak Island.
I know.
And I was
right?
pleased that I know what flocculent is.
I was surprised that they said the flocculent was going to float and not sink. Because first
I
thing
thought it was sink.
When they first said about putting it in there, I thought, oh, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because now we're going to have all this sediment fall over top of everything down there, and we won't see. Even if you drop a camera down, you won't see anything. You'll just see a floor covered with silt.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But in the episode, they describe it as floating.
Mm-hmm.
It will float the sediment to the surface.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Which you can do. I looked it up today.
Yeah.
They have to pump air down the hole, create air bubbles. Air attaches itself to the sediment, and then it floats.
Oh, cool.
GarageBand Time Machine said the flocculent looked like a tidy bowl. Yeah, it did, didn't it? That was pretty funny. There you go. That's all for next week, and we'll see what comes of it. Remember that they used a flocculent before, and a diver couldn't get to the bottom of that caisson because it made him too buoyant.
Oh wow!
Ooh,
cool.
Those were the wild days back when they used to send people down in these holes.
Yeah, back in those adventurous days.
Yeah. Isn't it funny or scary to think about? Like I'm like knowing what we know about the just the something took all that sediment. It could have easily took a person, if we had sent a person down there, maybe. So it's kind of scary knowing what we know about the instability of the region. That a couple of years ago they were like, "Hey, diver, get down in there." You can't see anything. Just feel around for gold.
Yeah,
exactly. You'll be fine. Don't worry about a thing.
Yeah. Very brave man.
That's kind of what happened.
It's an 18-inch hole. You're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. When he went down into 10X,
10X.
And he had to go through the big caisson, then down into a small hole that was down there, going through the bedrock, and then into this cavity, and then he's feeling around down there, and he came up. Nah, there's nothing there. There's nothing. Well, let's come back up. And I'm like, wait just a darn minute. I'm still not happy with that whole
And
episode.
he dropped to the coin. Yeah. Oh, I bet that haunts that diver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was Chatterton. John Chatterton went down there. So, all right. So, I think there was one last point on this was the they did break into the Aladdin's cave supposedly right at the end of the episode. So we'll get to see on that what they come up with. Oh, the last thing I also wanted to mention on this too was if this is a tunnel at 95 feet, 96 feet or so, somewhere around that 100-foot range. Could it possibly be, if the Restalls were correct, talking about the spiral tunnel, could this simply be one leg of that coming around?
Could be.
I don't know.
That's what I thought I saw in the Muon data.
Stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. That was weird. That was really weird. And we can't get those guys on Sond, was it Sond Science or Technology, the ones that made that.
Mm-hmm.
No, that wasn't Sunday. That was he one that flew the balloon over there, and we never saw that either. But I was wondering if he was there. The people that did the Muon Technology and they put that on there, we never did get a chance to really talk to them about that. Is that really showing us a stair, or is that just a summation of what the computer data read?
Right.
We don't know. But I thought about that. The Restall spiral tunnel that they talked about. Mm-hmm. Could that simply be a part of it coming around and comes back in? I don't know.
Yeah, I've always felt like the Restalls. I trust a lot of anything that they thought. I'm thinking, well, there was something to it. So there's, smarter than me, and weren't just speculating from their work chair.
Yeah. GarageBand Time Machine. Yeah, that red area if you're talking about the Muon data, that red area was very deep. It was down over 200 feet. That was the lowest point, and it was a good size chamber, cavity down there. So, but we didn't really hear much more about that. But I think they still use that in their calculations. So, all right. So next we are going to jump over to the swamp.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and the stinky old swamp. They're working obviously in the North Bog now. And this is what they're calling this area north of the road, the North Bog. They're coming over here and they're cleaning this up pretty good. And they're looking for another. If you heard Rick talk about this, about the bog and the fact that they found this one vault. And they were curious about the fact of, is there more than one? You don't put all your eggs in one basket. There might be another vault somewhere around the area. And so they're going through the exercise of cleaning this entire area out. And as you heard Jack Begley say, they need to expand this and do a very wide clearing of this area so they can look at all this area and see what might be down there. They are still finding more cobble, indicating some sort of a platform or a road. And possibly another chamber of some sort. Is that what do you think? I mean, wouldn't you, if you had the opportunity and the manpower to do it? I would clear this whole area off and get a good look at all of it, right?
It's not going to hurt. It's not going to, I mean, we know now that we've seen enough to know that whole east side of the swamp headed to the north end was used for something multiple times by different people. Things were built, unbuilt. Stuff was thrown in there. I mean, we know stuff happened down there. It's a question of proving how far up it went.
Right. Yep. Here you can see I took this a screenshot because you can get a pretty good look at this road right here running this way. Now it's kind of running in a different direction. It's not actually running exactly towards the water anymore. It's running kind of in a northerly direction, more of a northerly direction. You see this other plank down here. Now they only found the one plank. So does that mean it was another, like those other ones? There were several all down there had that marker stake in it.
Yeah.
A survey stake stuck through it. I don't know. This could just be a random board that floated in
Could be
over
a
the
random
years.
board. Yeah, it didn't look like it was associated with any others.
No, it really didn't. So you see it there in that picture. But it's interesting that they're still following this. And I would take every minute I have to go ahead and clean the rest of this area off and have a good look at it. Yeah, that
You just bring Jack in with his fire hose and let him blast it.
Yeah, that would be good, right?
I mean, I know I've seen Doug Simons and others on here in the chat speculate, that the lot 5 and work area and living area is connected to the money pit with this road. In addition to being used for all these other, loading and offloading that. So yeah, I'm with you, Jeff. I would follow this thing everywhere it goes. I think after the money pit, this is the most important thing that can answer your questions on timelines and who and what was going on. And, the one thing that Rick wants might not be in the money pit.
Right. Yeah, it might not. It might be somewhere else. Could very well be somewhere else. When the cobble path in the swamp splits, does one have half of it head to the quadrilateral? And like Coach said, we just simply don't know yet. We don't have enough data yet to find out. It could, if it's splitting right there.
Mm-hmm.
If this is like a crossroads area, because they talked about you heard Tom say something about like an area where it went from one to the other, jumped over to the other side or something. Is that are we ever going to be able to determine that for sure? I don't know, but
that's
if they
totally
clean
possible.
If
you had people in there for hundreds of years reusing this place, it's totally possible. You've got branches, going different directions, different structures built by different people. It's totally possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need another LiDAR scan of the island.
Pete Kelsey, I'm going to talk to him about that on the 3rd. April 3rd, we got Pete Kelsey and Eric Bard from Skinwalker Ranch. And Pete, I've talked to him about this before. He definitely wants to go and LiDAR Oak Island.
Ooh.
He wants to do it bad.
He's
Any of you from the team are watching or will watch this episode. Pete Kelsey is an expert when it comes to LiDAR, and he wants to LiDAR Oak Island. Just saying, with a drone or by hand. And he needs to do it. I'm glad you brought that up, Seth, because I would love to have him do it. So anyway, get him out there. Yeah, they were talking about the stakes and how the stakes are lined up. It's really hard. I mean, it's so hard when they talk about this on the show because you can't really see where, you're looking at these two stakes. You see one up here and one right here, and they're talking about a line over here. And there's Tom Nolan standing in the toolies holding, and Rick's holding a stick up or a handle of a shovel up. I don't know. It's hard to say where everything's going right now, but I guess the idea is that the road seems to be branching off and maybe turning and heading towards Lot 5.
Yeah, we just need to get Guptill in there and map this thing out and show us a grid.
Yes. Yes. When this is all done, when they're done in the swamp with clearing all this stuff off, we're going to have to see if Steve can show us this stuff and see what's up with it. So there's another peg they found, survey stake. You can see where they're at with it, where they are working it. And it does kind of look like if they're following it, it does kind of look like maybe it's heading that way towards Lot 5 or that direction anyway. Who knows? Whether it's heading for the quadrilateral or not, we just simply don't have enough info at this point. And there's another look at it. You can see they're kind of following along. But again, it's so hard to figure out where they're actually heading with it. All these stakes and marking different things. Again,
what are those blue? Like, is that metal detecting? Is that what?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm not really sure. They never really talked about the blue flags. I don't know. Are they marking big boulders or something?
Or are they marking the different survey stakes that they're finding?
That's what I think. I think they pull a stake out and they put that down in it. Or because you see, there you go. You see
right here. You see one there?
There's the stakes there.
Here,
yeah. Okay.
One here, one here, one here.
That's a lot of stakes.
That's good point, Tom. That's what they're doing. They're marking out the survey stakes. Good catch.
So it is a mess.
Yeah. Yep. Wow. Good catch. Yeah.
I remember back in the day thinking that Tom Nolan's dad
Yeah, you can see him.
Had pulled out everything that there was, and it's a shame you pulled out all the steaks, and we won't get to see where they were. we're steak rich.
But I would bet you Nolan's. I mean, he's a surveyor. He's got those. Everything he pulled, I bet you, is marked on a diagram somewhere.
Oh, I bet you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I know that, Linda. I remember him talking about that, but I still think they need to redo it because the LiDAR that was done on Oak Island years ago was older technology. They got a lot better technology now. They have a lot better software to crunch the numbers and crunch the data. It's far superior to what it was in 2016.
And I know LiDAR shoots through trees and debris and everything else, but the island, just as far as debris laying on the ground, etc., is a much cleaner place now to take a picture of.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. Yeah, and there's so much more Lot 5 that's been exposed that we might be able to learn more about with the LiDAR scan. The road.
Yep.
I would do it every year.
Oh yeah,
like here in San Antonio, they'll scan the inside of the Alamo. I don't know if it's annually, but they do it regularly so they can measure the how much the walls are actually wearing away.
Yep, that's why they did. That's why they had Pete go out and do Alcatraz. And he's on a tour doing national parks, but he did Alcatraz because they're looking at the way it changes from the seawater in the bay right there over time, and the wind and everything else, and how it's affecting Alcatraz. So that's why he did a fantastic job. That's a great episode, by the way. If you haven't seen it, we had Pete on talking about the Alcatraz job, and amazing
stuff. Yeah, that was cool. That was impressive. That was impressive.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Here is another stake, the metal stake that they found. You can see it right here. It's a long one. This here runs all the way down from a tip, and then you can see where it's been hammered in. I thought that they were probably correct on this one. They said a wharf, from building a wharf
pin. Yeah, a wharf pin. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. No question. That's a wharf pin.
Okay, I think it makes sense. But now, why would a wharf pin be here on the north end of the bog?
Getting close to the dam, maybe.
Getting close to my question. Dam area. If it's, is it possible there was a wharf coming out the north side of the swamp? I can see wood floating around, but I don't know about a pin showing up that far away from the water.
Did they get where they needed to cross the swamp at some point and they needed a small bridge? Let the water flow through?
Maybe so. I thought it was pretty curious that they would find a wharf pin.
I mean, build those with, if you're using any kind of log cribbing, if you're going to crib even around the end of a rock structure, you would use a wharf pin.
Yeah. Garage Band says it used to be 2 islands, need a wharf.
Seems like that's what it is.
I'm still not convinced it was 2 islands. A lot of people say there's no way. I just don't know. Fred was convinced it was. But that's pretty interesting. But I think you're right. I think it is definitely a wharf pin. Need to send Tony out and look for old cribbing. Yes. And that's one of the things I said about being able to go up there and visit. Folks, if you haven't had the chance or you ever get the opportunity to go to Nova Scotia, you need to do it. It's an awesome, awesome place. Beautiful land, great people up there. Loved everybody that we ran into and met up there, as well as the folks that we got to meet that are part of the CAT and everybody that was part of this podcast that shows up here all the time. Thank you guys. But wonderful, wonderful area. And I got an opportunity and this was neat because you talk about building these wharfs, and I had really no idea in my brain about how these were actually constructed until I got there and saw how they were constructed.
Mm-hmm.
And you build this wood cribbing like a large wooded box, square, I don't know, 8x8 or whatever they may be.
Build them in any shape you want. Yeah.
Right. And fill it full of stone.
And
then now that's one of your legs, and you do another one and another one and another one, and then you connect it together with the wharf on top.
Yep.
It's amazing. And I got to see them and understood how they were made. Now I have a better understanding of a piece like this and how it comes into play. But anyway, I had a little tangent there about it.
I mean, you can build your whole wharf that way. It doesn't even have to be the individual pylons, right? The whole wharf can be built that way. And what the logs do is they stop the rocks from washing out when the waves beat up against The rocks, the log wall gives you a place where the waves aren't going to beat your wharf all to pieces,
right,
and wash it back out to sea.
Ice can be pretty damaging to them, right? Heavy ice.
Oh yeah, ice would take rocks out for sure. Yeah.
But,
I think it was 2 islands real quick, just because you look at how different each half of the island is. Totally different material.
Yep.
And why, and just the shape of the swamp totally looks man-made. So I lean towards it was 2 separate islands, maybe pretty easily joined up. But I feel like when Jeremy Church,
in my opinion, long, it could very easily have been 2 islands. My thing is, with the accumulation of sediment in there, what stopped the water flowing to start the accumulation of sediment?
yeah.
and was
that's
that
that's when it stopped being 2 islands.
And was that done naturally or by man? Do you
Correct.
think?
my guess,
There you
one or
go.
the other.
Yeah.
My guess, one or the other.
Jan, yes, Tony did, but it was on the other side of the island. He was looking off of lots 28, 26 area.
Well, I mean, that aerial photography of it really suggested it. I saw it when that guy was like, I can see the lines going out into the ocean.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Oh, Tom froze. He may not be here anymore. We'll see if he disappears there. So I don't know. It could it have been 2 islands? You got like you said, you got the slate side on the western drumlin, and you got the clay and whatnot on the eastern drumlin. Maybe. Not really sure.
Yeah, is it just a road or is it a road and wharf? And I feel like with all some of those, if they were finding more pens in the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
But then what's the ship? We still don't know what the ship anomaly is in the swamp.
I know the ship shape anomaly. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens there, but I'm not going to say it wasn't. It wasn't a 2 islands at one point. Tom builds a good case for it. All right, so let's go ahead and break at this point, and we are going to do our giveaway. It's a good time to break and let Tom get back in here. And then we will. I'm going to bring up the item again, or the items that we have for tonight's giveaway. And Linda will join us here in a moment, and then she will do the spinaroo for us. Okay, so we got 2 things here. We've got a book by Doug Simmons. That is his book, The Oak Island's First Visitors, Irish Monks, Vikings, and Templars. And then we also have Kat, I guess, made these coasters. Thank you, Kat. And then
very cool.
A magnet there, Oak Island, Nova Scotia, it shows. And that was from Michelle Tomeyer. Is that right, Linda? Okay. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Doug is sending out this book himself. So if you win tonight, you're going to need to give me your name and address and what you want him to write in that book to you. He's going to personalize it and autograph it for you.
Dear Seth, you are my best friend.
You're my bestie.
You are so smart. You solved the case.
Exactly.
Just kidding. Yeah. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Kat.
Yeah, there's Doug right there. So good luck to everybody. Yep. So, all right. To be eligible for one of our giveaways that we have. Oh, there's Tom coming back. There we go. Hey, Tom. Huh?
Yeah, it's happened twice. It's the second time that it happened. We just lost a total internet connection here for some reason.
Wow.
To
be eligible for this, you have to be a member of our Facebook group page, The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond, Skinwalker Ranch. Link for it is down below in the description. You can click on that and ask to be part of our group. And then Linda will put out a post for the following week's giveaway. It'll be a picture on there, and all you have to do is do a reply on that post and say yes in that post, not here in the chat, but on that post, you just put a yes comment on there.
Only on the post that says giveaway.
Yeah. Right.
Because I sometimes get people just saying yes on random posts, and that really doesn't enter you.
Right.
Because I don't know to look for you.
Yeah,
there
that'd be a lot of you
fashion.
Looking for every time, every
yeah. So it has to be on the podcast post. Thanks, Peaches.
Yep. And so that's how you do it. And then we do the spin here tonight during our podcast. and you must be present to win. So we'll do the spinaroo. Whoever's name comes up. We had one last week. The first person wasn't here, so we went to the spun again. And fortunately, the second person that came up was here. So got that.
I just finished reading it again.
Oh,
It's a good book.
And you know what? It has the best pictures.
Well, I was going to say, with it having
are
pictures, and they're in color.
pictures.
I love the size of it. There's nothing more frustrating than having a small book with black
Look
and
at
white
all
fuzzy
the
pictures.
Pictures,
Wow.
what he's talking about.
yeah.
They're beautifully done. So,
Yeah.
it's great.
I can always tell it's a good book because I got it full of sticky notes and I've got lines drawn everywhere. And
Yeah. I would have to order 2 copies if I did that.
Yep.
One to mark up.
Well, I'm surprised we're not getting. Yeah, that's why I got two copies of Corian and Christopher's book. I'm surprised we're not giving away a little packet of sticky notes with this one too, because they're going to need them. So
I might be able to work that out because the coasters, which I actually hang on my Nova Scotia tree, I don't use them as coasters. And the magnet from Michelle are coming out from me to whomever wins. And there might be sticky notes in there.
all right, it could happen. All right. All right, so let's do this. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so we're gonna get you in solo layout so we can see the spinaroo.
Spin that wheel.
All right, here we go. Oh, I have to turn the sound up. It doesn't click if I don't have sound.
You can actually see it tonight. That's good. Ooh, lots of names going by. April Melody. All right, April, are you here? Let us know if you're with us, and then we can.
I haven't seen April.
Yeah, I haven't.
Sorry, big brother. I think I saw your name spin by there about 4 clicks before it stopped.
You never know. April, are you here?
April's not here. We might have to spin again. We do have about a 15-second delay from what we're doing to what we see in the chat. So let us know. We'll move on.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm I don't see her yet.
Well, I'm really looking forward to Aaron's show coming on in a couple of weeks.
I am too.
No kidding. Yeah,
Me too.
Yep.
By the way, I just linked that podcast about him doing the search.
Oh.
For the servicemen's remains.
Yeah.
I just linked that in
Recovery
our
missions. Yeah.
Yeah. And I started to say the name of it and now I can't say it again. But there's a specific name for that. But it's in our group in case you didn't see it. It was on a year ago.
Yeah, everybody should watch it if you haven't, because at the end he has a call to action for those who, because
he would like to be doing this for Canada.
For more Canadians, right? Yeah, it's a lot of it's for Americans, and
these are all American service people that he's looking for.
Yeah, like he said, he was going out for the University of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, well, here we go.
We're going to spin again. We haven't heard from April.
Sorry, April.
Yeah,
so
sorry about
April.
that.
If the next person who wins is named May.
Or June.
Yeah.
It's
another April almost.
Oh, Tara Lorraine.
Is Tara here?
I think so.
I think I saw her earlier.
Yeah. Tara, you here?
Tara from PEI.
That was almost landed on it almost landed on April again.
Did it really?
Yeah. Yeah. Tara, let us know if you're here.
Tara, speak up. I know. I'm pretty sure I saw you there earlier.
She's usually here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she's in PEI. That would be easier than sending it to South Africa or Australia. For Doug.
Well, I don't know. It's going to go through Canada Post, so be careful.
Yeah. Oh, I know Noel one out there.
There's still work to rule here. They haven't settled their contract yet, I don't think.
Oh, really? Oh, boy.
Yeah, I've not heard from the last one that we sent to Australia. Gloria Waters, I think was her name.
Nova Scotia. Okay. Come on, Tara. Let us know if you're here, please.
Oh man.
You guys just send it to me. I'll make sure it goes along.
You'll make sure it goes somewhere after you've read it.
Trust me, he said. Trust me.
It puts his notes in and let's see. Well, we'll give her another 30 seconds or so to say I'm here. I'm here. Yeah, we'll play that music from
Did y'all notice my new hat tonight? All black.
I know
that's
on
the J Free website.
Styling.
Yeah.
You're
I
styling.
usually rock this one. Now, Jeff, do you still have these available? The
I
gray
still
and
have
blue?
a couple. Yeah, I still have a couple of them. The problem I had with the gray one, I love the gray one. And that's actually the one that somebody from the show, Scott Barlow, had wore when he was at the when he was in Traverse City for their winter meeting. That one there, it started to, if you wear it too much when you're out working hard in the yard,
sweat.
It shows
sweat
the dirt.
and start to show up, and you can't get rid of
So
it.
you throw it in the dishwasher.
You're just breaking it in.
Yeah.
See, now I can get this one sweaty because I won't wear
That's
it
the one
out
right-
because I want to keep it nice for the show. But this is now my nice
Right
hat.
behind
Here's my working hat.
Yep.
They're a really nice summer hat because they got the meshing in the back.
Yes.
Got
that's what I
Jamie
like
Kuba's hat.
Jamie
This is a
Kuba's
good
hat
summer
there.
hat.
Yep. All right.
All right.
All right.
Spin the wheel.
We got to spin again. This
Spin
is
again.
3 on this.
Sorry, I tried to.
We stalled as long as we could.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as we could.
You still got a shot, brother.
All right, come on, Tom's brother.
Oh,
she's
Giselle
here.
is here.
I know
yes.
she's here.
Giselle.
Giselle, I saw the name go by.
9:39
Oh, right
she was
there.
on.
The fingers crossed
Fingers
work.
crossed worked. Nice. All right. Yeah, there you go.
All right, here. Yep.
All right.
Thank you. Congrats.
Yeah.
Okay, Giselle, if you will private message me your address and what you want Doug to write in your book, then I'll get that taken care of.
Cool.
How, I feel like we take for granted how cool it is that Jeff and Linda and Tom, you guys got the connections to these researchers and authors. We're so spoiled. Starting the show with Aaron Taylor, giving books away from, with personal messages. Thank you guys for everything you do. I'm so lucky that I get to show up and just tag along.
That Doug has given away. He's been very
thank you,
generous
Doug.
with his books.
You know what, Seth, when you say that, it has been an absolute blessing for me to not only, and I say that on all fronts, the folks that are here watching the show, and you guys and Tom and you and everybody, and getting to meet you all in person, and then also the researchers and the folks from the island and everything. It has been a blessing to honestly to meet every one of them. And I'm still love to meet the Laginas. I have talked to Rick on the phone once real quick.
Ooh, cool.
But I would love to meet the Laginas in person. That would be sweet. But yeah,
I've seen some cool pictures of people in our group who have gotten to meet him in person, and that's so awesome. I love getting to live through everybody else's adventures up there. Because I don't know if I'll ever get to pose next to Rick in a picture, but I know people who have.
I know, right? Yeah, me too.
We know people.
We know people.
It's so cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Linda. We are going to push on and head towards lot 5, like the road.
Lot 5.
That's
All right. I'm out of here. See you guys.
See ya. Thank you. Kat says he hugged me. Well,
see, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean he can hug me too. That's okay.
I'll take a Rick hug.
From Rick, yeah, whatever.
We'll take a Marty hug too.
Yep, why not? Yeah, I know. They're Sharon. Their vineyard is awesome. Mari Vineyards in Traverse City is awesome. Traverse City, Michigan. I've been there twice.
Well,
awesome place.
It's Giselle's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday!
Yeah. Oh, happy birthday! All right. Okay, so let's push on, and we're going to head over to lot 5. And we're going to take a look at this shot right here is actually kind of what Laird had called it, the yard, like the front yard. Okay. All right. There's Jake Roberts. This is like the front yard, and they're doing some exploratory spots here, working in this front yard area. And this is where Fiona comes up with this piece of brick. Oh, when she first found it, I wasn't quite sure what it was.
Mm.
She called it a brick, but it wasn't red brick like all the other ones that we see all the time. She said it was glazed, and you can see how it is shiny on a couple of sides. What, I mean, is that like a more of a decorative brick? Would you think?
No, they put, I can't remember what type of powder. There's a powder that they put, basically sprinkle on the bricks before they fire them. And it creates that glaze. It makes them more waterproof.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. Yeah, because they are porous, so they will soak up.
That's what it's for, is to make them more waterproof. And I forget, I looked it up, and there was a couple different things that they could use that they just sprinkle on them before they fire them.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought it was part of. Yeah, I thought it was maybe part of some sort of a figure, a statue, or some kind of thing like that, rather than being a brick. But
bricks are the new wood on Oak Island.
Yeah.
They just, like, oh, another piece of wood. Now it's like, oh, another piece of brick. But it's important, because it is easy for me to be like, oh, brick. Like, okay, what am I to do with this? But there's a lot you can glean from bricks.
There is, and we're gonna step right into that right now. Great segue, because there they are, some different pieces of brick, and we're jumping over to the lab. And now that they have all these machinery that we hear about all the time, every episode, they explain exactly how they work
again and again and again.
Again and again. Yeah. So we see them over here in the lab, and they're looking at all these pieces of brick laid out on the table. Now, a couple of these, they had 2 from Lot 5. They had at least 1 or 2 from Smith's Cove, and then 2 from the vault in the swamp, that box they found in the swamp. And they kind of took these all together and analyzed what their material makeup is. They talked about the fact that the Lot 5 and the Smith's Cove bricks were very, very similar, within a few percentage points of each other as far as their material makeup. And that's where they found this brick down in that hole. Remember when they dug down in there in Smith's Cove? And then, of course, Lot 5, we know exactly where that is. Emma has had a brick investigation project going on for years. That's why Linda from Cape Sable has brought them bricks from the Hawk. From the Hawk. I don't know what's the Hawk?
There's a place down in Cape Sable that there's, well, it's a long story, but anyway, there's an old settlement there. They think an old settlement there. There's the old wooden posts all along the shoreline. Is what they call the sunken forest. It's quite a spot, really, but it's down the southern tip of Nova Scotia.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. They said that Emma said that they both the ones from Lot 5 and from Smith's Cove that were very close and very, very similar in their makeup, both match Brick Hill. Brick Hill. And I thought, okay, it must be a brick factory in the, she said, local place, Brick Hill. So I went looking for it, and I couldn't find anything on it. I wanted to try to dig up some info on that if I could, but see when was it established? Because she said the 1600s. I think, yes, the 1600s.
1600s, yeah.
Who set that up? And why would there be bricks from the 1600s in Smith's Cove and over there in Lot 5? Now, the brick in Lot 5 was found in cobble, right? It was backfill or
backfill. Yeah, and that's another important thing.
It was backfill, and then a piece from the new test pit that they did. That's the piece they just found.
So none of these bricks they're finding, other than the vault, which aren't the 1600s bricks. All the 1600 bricks they're just finding fragments of. So where is the feature that these bricks were used for? Is it, did they use brick in the money pit, or would you use brick in a tunnel underground? Is that even a thing? I mean, I know they did in that little vault.
They're finding pieces, which tells me, well, that there was no structure there, no brick structure.
Well,
where is it?
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. And that's what Laird had said. If you caught, he said that. He said it could be from a structure we haven't found yet.
Maybe that's the thing that excites him, that they pull out of the money pit. Because he did say, there's something that they're going to pull out of the money pit that's very exciting for me. Because I was joking about how anytime Laird gets excited, that's a really big thing.
Yes, it is.
And he was like, "Well, there will be something out of the money pit that's
could they have built their own sort of blacksmith shops there in the 1600s?
Why not?
And when you left, they buried everything. So you break up your forge, which would be made with bricks.
Right. Yep.
Because they are finding charcoal.
Somebody just asked if sound is off. No, I hope you guys can hear me. Coach said sound is on. Okay. All right. Yeah, sound fine here. Hopefully everybody hears us out there. Okay. So yeah, interesting. We'll see what comes of that. Then we are going to jump over. Oh, before we go there, so they talked about Anthony Graves because the other two pieces of brick sample that they found in that box that was found in the bog area of the swamp was actually from the 1800s. She supposed. Okay, well that fits the Anthony Graves time frame. And that's where his house was. There's just showing a little blip of where his house was there. And now imagine having a house there. That's why I'm still wondering about this whole thing with being two islands. Obviously, it could have very well have been just if he built his house in that area, that's kind of a weird spot to build it if it was a mucky, wet place. But I don't know. Hard to say.
Hard to say. I mean, the only way to get to the island was by boat anyway.
Right.
Because there was no causeway. So whether you built on the first island, the western drumlin or the eastern drumlin, really doesn't matter.
Right. Or maybe he was coming in on what was the water and, but then again, maybe that had been done, turning it into one island back in the 1200s. So we just don't know.
Goodness knows. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the let's go back to that picture. This is the pit here. Here's where his house was right here, showing that. And then of course we had the box, and you can see the brick line right on the top.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about this, and you see the brick that's being used down here, making up the box again, and then the ones down here on the outside. And then Tom has this picture here. The team found on the vault's top layer, but also
they only reference the bricks that were on the top of the vault as being, from Graves. Well, it's not just the bricks on the top of the vault; they're all down through it. They seem to suggest that the narration is trying to suggest that Graves affected the top of the vault. He found it and he affected the top of the vault only. Well, he didn't just affect the top of the vault. If he put the bricks on the top, where did the ones in the bottom part of the structure come from?
Yeah,
I think the narrators are just playing with us.
Yeah,
pulled brick. That's what I was going to say too.
Linda. They pulled bricks from the floor of the vault as well, right? So either of one of two scenarios here. Either this thing was built by Anthony Graves to hide something, or a cooler area for cooling, keeping certain things cool.
He could have found it and rebuilt it too.
Or that's what I was thinking. That's where I was hoping for, that he found it and he found some Spanish silver coins in it that he then used, because it's suggested that he was using silver coins, Spanish coins on the mainland to buy goods. So I think I'm hoping that he actually found some treasure in it from one of the many depositors, and then he rebuilt it a little bit to make it better, and then kept on using it. And that's why he would have used,
that's my guess,
1800s bricks in it. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm with you guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that's what the case is on this thing, because why would, if it was all brick, he would have just built it all in brick rather than the slate. I think the slate was the original material, these big pieces of slate, and then he used the bricks to shore it up. That's my guess and my hope. They came across this this spike here, and this is the one where I know that I don't know if everybody's going to agree with me on this or not, but this particular spike that was found, this was found in the spoils. It was brought over by Scott Barlow to the money pit, and he was showing it from the spoils of the wash plant. Now, this particular spike, You can see right here, it's broken off on the bottom down here where it's curved and then it's broken off. This is definitely what they call a rosehead spike. It's got the rosehead on it. It's got all the sides. This thing has been, it's a square. It's very old, but it's broken off. It's much longer than that. Now, Gary was saying right off the bat that he was saying that this thing is, well, he mentioned cabinetry. What were you mentioned?
Well, he talked about door jambs and door frames and things like that, which I could see, a big spike, because I mean those old structures, they use big square, 6x6, 8x8 timbers. Mm-hmm. I can see using a spike that size to secure something or nail something together. I can see it.
Right.
I cannot see it on a small chest being carried by 2 or more people.
No, nor can I. Mm-hmm. I don't see that at all. And when he mentioned that, treasure chest, and I'm thinking, boy, that's an awfully big spike.
Yeah, somebody has to mention to him that not everything is connected to treasure chest.
Gary and Jack.
Yep.
So I don't think so. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, possibly, Coach. So anyway, they jump over to the war room where they have Emma come over and talk about her analysis in the war room rather than all going over to the lab. And there you see it sitting on the table, but you also see what looks like a piece of chain, a link of chain laying there too, that they didn't talk about at all.
You sure do.
Did that come out of the wash plant as well from the spoils from Aladdin's cave spoils, or?
I context suggests it does. Yeah, that's interesting.
Was this TB1 spoils?
See, because I thought too. I thought, okay, well, maybe like they were chaining something up, not using it in the structure, but chaining something to, like putting the spike in and then hanging stuff on it.
The other thing too for me is, okay, so they found that spike. That's one there that was brought up by a scallop dredger in the Bay of Fundy.
Looks a miracle.
Yeah,
it sure does.
So I mean, the other thing is, okay, so they found this down supposedly somewhere between 90 and 110 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a pretty small little item to fall down a 7-foot hole. I mean, that could have been tumbling down there forever before it actually got picked up by the hammer grab. Now, if it had been in a piece of that big wood they brought up.
Oh, I see what you mean. So it could have been from a different depth, and it's just been
tumbling down.
Correct. Yeah.
Right?
I never even considered that.
They're not finding any other metal. So what depth did it really come from? If it was in a piece of wood, it would mean something to me.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I reached out to, I thought, well, who would know about such things? I got thinking about the fact that you take a ship that's going to be traveling across the ocean. And this ship is going to be, it's going to be traveling from North America all the way back over to Europe. Now, this ship is going to be carrying, if it's a Spanish galleon like the Concepcion, it's going to be carrying a lot of gold and silver, lots of silver coins. What would they put those in on the ship to be able to carry this, across the ocean when it's going to be, you're not going to have them in like a pirate's treasure chest, you probably not. They're going to be in different kinds of boxes. And would those boxes be big enough to put one of these big old spikes into? And I'm thinking, no, I don't think any of them would be big enough to put these big spikes in. These are pretty good size. So I reached out to Robert Westrick. Now, Robert is a man who has been on the podcast before. He's been on the Beyond Oak Island before a couple of times. And he is one of the searchers for the 1715 fleet of Spanish ships that left out of Havana, and many of them sunk shortly thereafter, hitting a storm. So, and he knows this kind of stuff. So I reached out to him last night. And I said, hey, what's your thoughts on this thing? The spike and all of this kind of stuff. And he kind of shared some information with us. One of them was this picture here, but he also shared, this is that box that Corian Mall. If you've seen that little clip that Corian did, you want to see what a treasure chest looks like. It looks like this. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine a spike that big being in here? I can't. It would have split the wood all up trying to drive it into anywhere on this thing. I can't imagine it being that, to go into a chest like this. This is more like what they would be. Now, this was actually a box, a wooden box that had Spanish coins in it. And it says a rare color photograph depicts the intact 1715 fleet treasure chest being recovered from the cabin wreck in 1967. Florida State Agent Tommy Gore and Real 8 member Bob Johnson are the divers in the water. That's what's left of the box. That, and we talked about this a little bit too with Tom. How much would that weigh, Tom?
1 cubic foot of silver weighs 633 pounds. So you're not talking about, you know, I mean, you're going to 633 pounds. That's probably 2 cubic feet. You know, that's, it is allow for airspace, things like that. It's going to be like 700 pounds. And you're going to not move 700 pounds down a 9-story shaft and move it through a 6-foot hole. It's not going to be some huge, great big chest. It's going to be small and compact like that because it's heavy.
Yeah. These are small, compact boxes, and they put a couple of bags or whatever of silver coin.
Yeah, Rob told me one time that what you would typically find is 1,500 reals to a canvas bag and 2 canvas bags in a chest.
There you go. So that's what I'm, if they're looking for something down in the bottom of the money pit, I'm not looking for some beautiful, ornate pirate chest shaped like and you open it up and it's just full all the way to the top with gold and silver.
No,
It'd be too heavy to carry. You couldn't carry that thing.
Steven Spielberg and the Goonies told me that it was that way, Jeff.
Okay.
And even if you were shipping them in bulk, they just say you were coming back you were down, with the treasure fleet, 1647 or whatever it was, or 1687 when they actually recovered it. They're not going to ship that stuff back in treasure chests. They're shipping it back in casks and kegs and leather bags.
Yep. This is a great article. He just wrote it was funny because when I reached out to him, he said last night, he goes, I just wrote an article on that. I'll send it over to you. Bam, here it is. So,
great time.
Yeah. So he was, talking about this. So these boxes are not that big. They simply cannot be. Yes. I want the treasure to spill out of the top like the Goonies. Oh, don't we all, right?
Yeah. It's a deck. To me, it's a deck spike.
Yeah, it's deck spike. I'm sorry, but I believe it too. I believe that is a deck spike. Now, with that said, a deck spike down deep in the money pit, why would a deck spike? Well, and as Tom said, we don't know how deep it really was. It may have fallen down in there, but why would there be a deck spike down there in the first place?
And why would there only be one of them?
And why would there only be one? Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's something that's just worked its way down in the
Look at that. 14-inch by 14-inch cube of gold weigh 2,000 pounds.
Yep. Yeah, because gold is way, way heavier than silver.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So
when you see somebody pick up one of those gold bars on TV and you think, oh my God, look at him, he's faking. Look how heavy it is. I've been in a gold vault, and trust me, they're that heavy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
If you ever go to Sebastian, Florida, and you go to Mel Fisher Museum in Sebastian, and go over there and meet with Melvin Apt, he's been on the podcast too, and they got a thing where you reach inside this hole. It's a hole about yay big. You reach inside there and you get to pick one up. And the silver or gold bar, and if you could fit it out that hole, you can't. But that thing is heavy. It's amazing. You get a chance to really feel how heavy a gold bar is, and the thing's amazingly heavy. Anyway, all right, going back to this. So this broken nail, a deck spike is what we're going to call it, found in the money pit. And Marty said something very, very good here. He said it doesn't matter when he's talking about, the fact that they found one or they find the wood or whatever. He said what matters to me is that the spike indicated somebody was down deep in the money pit prior to the discovery of the money pit in 1795. So that's the key to take away from this, is that somebody was down there. Now, you take that, and Emma did the analysis on it, and she said that it was probably, and I know that my notes from Jan here, the printer was messing up, and I can't read some of it. Do you have that, Tom? She said it was English.
Yeah. English. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, just because it contains sulfur and phosphorus. That's what indicates. She said there's also potassium throughout it, which indicates a charcoal furnace and not a coal furnace, which I thought I wanted to learn more about what circumstances would require one over the other.
Right.
And what that would tell. But yeah, really fascinating. This is one of my favorite parts of the show, the brick and then this analysis, because it's just so cool the way she, goes down, boom, it's hand wrought. You can see that. You can see the hitting. You can, we know it was made here. We know the type of furnace it was in. Just amazing. And then her date was 1700s, mid 1700s, and earlier. She said as new as 1750. So that would be like the, earliest, or I guess most recent date. And then Gary, he was like, he really pushed. No,
he wanted to push it back. He wanted to keep pushing it back.
And the way that it was edited, Emma said, I like 1600s. She didn't say no or just, like sometimes the scientists will just go.
I think that was editorial license.
Yeah, she said she liked those dates, so she wasn't against it.
So,
and seems
where
to
does
fit
that fall?
William Phipps.
William Phipps. So if you go back to the whole William Phipps story, William Phipps that we've seen on the show many, many times, seen his picture and they talk about it. But when they found the Concepcion, they did one load back to Spain, took it back there. They had another load that they went back for. But on the way, they only brought back a very small
amount. Yeah.
Only 4 tons compared to what was the first haul? 20 tons. I don't know
20
the number.
Tons, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Those locals, they sure took a lot of that silver.
Right. And then when you saw Scott Clark on the show, he talked about Andrew Belcher, master of the ship Swan. And they found it was one of Phipps's ships that came back from the Concepcion, was found in
Mahone Bay.
Yeah, found in Mahone Bay.
Yeah, in Mahone Bay. So, coincidence? I think not.
Could it be?
Could it be? And there's Scott when he was there presenting that whole thing. So could it very well have be, a spike that was from Phipps's expedition to Oak Island? It's possible. It is plausible that it could be. But we just simply don't know for sure. But man, oh man.
Someone said, why wouldn't Phipps do that? The temptation must have been impossible. Well, back then when they were bringing those treasures and different recoveries back, it wasn't uncommon to be running 2 sets of books.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And how are they going to catch you anyway? If you pilfer off some of this stuff and you go say, we're going to go hide it on an island over here in North America before we go back over, who's going to know? Unless you have one of the guys squeal on you, one of your shipmates.
Well, you're the guy with the tally sheet, right? So
yeah, right. So yeah. March 25th is boots on the ground. April 1st is shoe. If the shoe Phipps. If the shoe.
Well,
Phipps.
If some of these biblical artifacts have been on the island before, these secret societies and whoever has these artifacts aren't keeping them just for historical integrity. I imagine they're keeping them to do something with them because they believe that there's some spiritual power to it. You're also going to need money to finance whatever operation that you're attempting to do with these artifacts. So I think that's why you have the multiple depositors, because these starting with the Templars and later maybe Masons or people within these groups have we're trying to fund the New Jerusalem, as the title of one of our favorite books suggests. So it's I think it's Oak Island's like a bank.
Yeah, I know. I really think that, and we're going to talk about this as we get this whole series of the timeline put together for Oak Island stuff. Visitors to Oak Island over the years, that they were passing this information. You can easily see through this how this information about the existence of Oak Island and Nova Scotia in North America was passed through all these different people, all through the generations, to each of them. They all, there's a small group of people that all knew about it, going from the from the Vikings probably all the way through to modern day times. So
yeah, and initiated, they recognize the mistakes, and like our Ghost of Bacon friend, I watched some of his shows, and a lot of it I just go so much over my head, but it's like he's one of those guys that he would look at a map or a piece of art and start seeing things.
Yep.
And like you were saying, that throughout history, those people, it's all been pointing to Oak Island.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why you get the multi-generational use of Oak Island.
If you know what to look for, it's right in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so we'll see. My goodness, the whole Phipps story is really coming into play here with what he could have done if he knew about Oak Island and he knew there was a good place to hide stuff. They were Masons, right? So
they had to sail right by there on the way home. So
yeah, right. So good place to stop and hide some loot. And a lot of too many things are just lining up in that time frame. So we'll show that. All right, folks, let's go with this here next time on the Curse of Oak Island. This is next week's show coming up. I'm very excited about this one, as I generally am. We right at the end of the episode, we saw him putting the flocculant into the caisson, into Aladdin's cave caisson. And just like somebody said, the tidy bowl, it's flushing down there. They're get in it, and it's kind of funny. Just to add water,
with hot water, yeah.
Stick the hammer grab down there, stir it up a little bit. It's interesting because I thought it would sink everything to the bottom, but no, it actually grabs it and floats it to the surface. That's funny. Interesting concept right there. And yes, how many people besides me have said, why don't they get one of those, not just a regular old camera, but why don't they get one of those little ROVs that goes underwater?
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that, I thought of Crocodile Dundee. Now that's a camera.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Camera. Look at that thing. Isn't it not
camera?
Cool? Yeah, this is a camera. But yeah, so isn't that awesome? They're gonna put down this thing in there. Count
Flocculent. It does, Barbara. They're funny.
Yeah, I almost said flat. No, never mind. I digress. So they're going to put this thing down there, and we've talked about. So many people have said, "Why haven't they put an ROV down these things?" Well, now they are. So I'm really happy about this. I can't wait to see what they find.
A boot.
Yeah, a boot. I'm really hoping that it's not. They don't get it down there, and then they say, "Oh, it's still not good enough."
Yeah, well, we can't see anything.
Yeah, I just hope they're not setting us up for heartbreak again.
Big heartbreak.
Well, they never do, Tom.
No,
maybe once.
Never. They never do that to us.
Is this Tango Bravo?
Well, maybe.
Right? Don't they? I feel like there was one episode where I was like, "It's gold! They found it!" And
now that's a hinge off a treasure chest.
That looks like more like what I would imagine being on a treasure chest right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that came, we need to find out exactly where this came from. Because, they need to do sonar also. I agree with you, David. David Henderson said do sonar also. I really hope
it's going to be interesting to see what all is on that thing that they dropped down the hole. I was hoping that there might even be some recovery tools on it.
See something and grab
that'd be cool. Bring up a coin off the bottom. Maybe it brought this up. Maybe the little fingers grabbed this and brought it up. But yeah, so this was. I'm assuming this is probably something that Gary found when he was metal detecting the spoils, or maybe it was something that came down the wash plant. We don't know yet, but that does look like it might have been a hinge or a band that went around a treasure chest.
It almost looks like a rivet in the middle of it, doesn't it?
It does look like a rivet right here. Yeah. Yep. I don't know.
A dead pirate skeleton draped on an open treasure chest. That's right. Just like the movies told us when we were kids.
That's right. So interesting to say the least what that's going to be about. Let's see. We're going to have to wait. No, this was looking back at the whole. I got this one in the wrong place here, but this was when they were looking back about the settling of the stuff in TB1 area, because and we can come back. He wants to take a, what does it say? And I want to come back.
I want to come back close.
Close.
And I want to come back close. So we can come back close, and I want to come back close. So he basically says the same thing twice, that He wants the group to get back closer to the TB1, but he says, I want to get back close.
Yeah. And that means that
he's not convinced. He's not convinced that they're done in that area.
No, not at all. Yeah. Yep. I think so. And I think that that's a great spot. Now, what they find down in Aladdin's cave, I don't know, but maybe they find a tunnel or a means by which to get out of there. Wouldn't that be awesome to get down in Aladdin's cave and see that there is actually a tunnel that leads out of there going somewhere, and send the ROV through? I mean, I don't think they're going to put a diver down there and say, okay, go through that tunnel and follow that tunnle, see where you come out at.
I hope not. That would be so scary.
That would be very, very dangerous, but you never know. Yeah. So the last one of the last pictures that I have here for tonight was this one here. I was Tom and I, as you know, we were always spending time looking on the surroundings, looking at the surroundings of the pictures of things. I got to spend a little bit more time with this, but I'm looking back there at that whiteboard. At some of the things that it says on it. Weekly news,
yeah.
Production,
the production schedule. I know some talk about Craig.
War Room Craig.
But
I don't know what
look underneath where it talks about on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Something to do with the lab and the lab schedule.
Yeah.
So I forget now. I had it all. I tried to blow it up today, but there's things there from Helen. Looks like from, I don't know if it's Charles or who it is underneath it, but then there was I think Rick and the clay or something at the very top.
It says Rick's clay.
Yep. So that's the analysis queue for the lab. That's the order in which they're going to test stuff.
Yeah. Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
Look at a picture that they gray all or blur the stuff now on us in the future, I'm sure. But I'm going to spend a little bit more time analyzing this because
they say Rush with a red box around it on the production
right there.
Lot 22.
Never see that again, right? I know, right?
Yeah, it'll be blanked out or.
Yeah, we never know exactly. It's interesting, to say the least, of what's always looking in the background, folks. You always got to look back there because you never know what you might see
behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. All right. So that's what we have for you here tonight. Season 12, episode 16, Open Sesame review. I thought it was a pretty good show.
Yep.
I don't know how many episodes they are this season. We've heard that The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch is going to be starting. I guess Brandon Fugel said it was going to be starting on June 3rd. So hopefully they won't overlap this time. We'll see. But if they're going to do 24 episodes, we have 8 left?
Correct.
So that would give us 8 more. That's what they usually run, and that would bring us to about the beginning of May. So we'll see what they have in store for us, or somewhere in May, I think, something like that. Like I said, they generally overlap. But wow, what do you think, guys? Final thoughts?
I thought it was good. I can't wait to see that camera get down that hole next week.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just focused on. It was a good episode. A lot of movement. Exciting to get right into Aladdin's cave already. So, looking to see what the camera sees.
Yep. And soon they'll be back on the island. Yes, they will, Lisa. Matter of fact,
right. In real time.
Yeah, they're going to be on real time. They're going to be back on the island pretty soon. They're, some of them are always out there. They go out there to the island, Scott and them they're out there.
They're checking on stuff all winter long, and the lab never closes.
No, the lab is continuing to work. So, yeah, 8 more would end in May 13th. So that's probably about right, I would think. Yeah. The ROV through the flooded treasure cave will be cool. Yes, it will. I think so. All right, folks, that's what we have. And if, like I said, always say at the end of the show, if you have not already, please subscribe to the channel and let us know how we're doing by giving us a like. Give us a thumbs up down there. You see that down below. The more likes we get, the more that YouTube kind of helps get this out and about to everyone. We appreciate that very much. We appreciate you, Seth, Tom. Appreciate you very much. Linda down there. Thank you. And Jan for another awesome synopsis that you did for us.
Great job, Jan.
As you do all the time. And for that, we'll say goodnight. We'll catch you next time right here on the J Free 906 podcast and the Freeman Files. Good night, everyone.
Good night.